Hello. If you think about it, there's an easy way to deter people from texting and driving. The easy solution is simply to put a manual transmission in all the cars. Manual transmission is fading out of style. It requires both hands to learn to drive, and it sounds hard to learn, but it's actually really easy. So let's start off with our first point. The manual transmission is fading out of style. I have recorded here on my laptop that a study done in 2016 showed that only 3% of all vehicles sold in the United States has a manual transmission. For the most part, these vehicles are the muscle cars and the trucks. Muscle cars being more the Dodge Challenger, the Charger, the Viper, the Corvette, Camaro, and for the trucks, it's more of the Rams, the 1500s through the 6500, the Ford pickup series, the F-150 to the F-450, and the Chevy trucks, the Silverados. And for GMC, it would be their Sierras and their Denali's. Before 1939, the only transmission there was a manual transmission. The first transmission that GM released was a hydrokinetic automatic transmission, which ran off of water. Since 2000, which is when the automatic transmission got rebuilt and overhauled, the automatic transmission has been the dominant one out of the two. A fun fact about the automatic transmissions: during World War II they were used for our tanks. Most famously, they were used in the Shermans. The second point: a standard transmission requires the driver to use both hands. The standard transmission, otherwise known as a manual or a stick, requires one hand on the steering wheel and one hand on the shifter, otherwise known as the stick. This, if you think about it, one hand on the wheel, one hand on the shifter, no hands to text with. Like I previously said, up until the year 2000, the standard transmission was better on fuel economy, and just personally, I think better in general. Really, the only parts of a manual transmission that can really brake quickly are the bearings and the clutch. The bearings, if the gear oil is changed regularly, can last about as long as the transmission itself. The other part that could break quickly is the clutch, but even then, if properly cared for, it could last for decades. Moving on to the third point: a manual transmission sounds hard, but is actually easy to learn. Now, most people, when they're teaching you to drive a manual transmission, they give you the steps, but they don't give an explanation. In my personal experience, I've found that when someone gives me an explanation of something, that is better than them giving me the steps. Because when I have an explanation of how to do something, I actually tend to carry it out a lot better and a lot quicker. Most people who give you it are like, okay, push the clutch in and shift it into gear. Take the e-brake off first. That, yeah, you could do it like that, or they could give you a demonstration. Just be like, this pedal over here is the clutch. This stick right here is the shifter. Also, a fun fact about both the automatic and the manual: they both require regular maintenance. They both require their oil to be changed. But one difference is that the automatic has a filter for their transmission, the manual doesn't. Also, the automatic has a torque converter. In conclusion, my good dudes, there are many ways to deter people from texting and driving. But I feel that one of the simplest and probably one of the easiest ways to do this is by putting a manual transmission in all the cars. It would bring back the manual transmission and prevent it from fading out of style. Hey Gabe, not only that, but it will deter you from texting and driving because both hands are occupied. And it does sound complicated, but it's actually really easy once someone demonstrates it or explains it to you. Okay? That, and it gives our generation, the younger, the next generation, and for generations after that, a new learning experience. That, and this is from personal experience because I've actually driven a manual. If you drive a manual, you can pretty much drive any vehicle there is. All my information can be found on bestrides.com, axleaddict.com, which is really more of a explanation website that explains how things are done. Standard Transmission, newstandard.blogspot.com, and trailtransmissions.com. Thank you for your time.